beloved Ascension pioneers. I'm enjoying my week out in the sunshine, and today I had some guidance that I wanted to share with all of you, with all of us. If you've been noticing, a lot of what I have recently shared with you is about how to co-create within the new, how we're actually shifting as becoming these new beings. And I want to explain this a bit further because it has to do a lot of our feeling side of life, which, you know, it's what it creates, what helps us create from our inner soul essences. And everything that we actually experience, in fact, is a neutral experience. I've been reading a lot about this in Dolores Cannon's books recently, and there's everything there's shared there with all the examples and the people and the individuals in regression. They all share that it's the same thing. It's just neutral, it's experience, but there is this planetary shift that's happening now. And yesterday we went to this tiny lodge where we usually come. It's this wonderful place, and we've been getting some tan, we've been sunbathing, and my mom just puts there this book, and the title of the book was something about, you know, the shifting and the parallel realities that are now coming into being, and the diversion, the splitting of the two worlds, and how we're choosing these different parameters within which we're existing and creating our experiences. And, you know, if you look around in your world, you're probably seeing that different people are still living different realities. You know, it's many versions of them. You know, it's like limitless. It's like your own fractal, with, you know, like a fractal nature of the universe. You're one fractal within a bigger whole. And many of you probably already know that as many of us that chooses a certain path, a certain alignment, then when it becomes a critical mass of it, then also it can become a part of this global collective consciousness, which we're not there yet. And it doesn't mean that even this collective consciousness will be a consciousness of everybody, because not everybody will be choosing that experience. But on this note, I want to share something where this all begins. And this few days, you know, I've been sharing a lot about this. How do we actually co-create in the new? Because when we're actually experiencing this, and this split is happening, and I've been talking a lot about this already, a lot of this splitting has to do with adjusting. You know, it's just like we're constantly tuning a bit in the old and in the new, and we're living this life of trying different things, of, you know, it's kind of multidimensional. We're trying different sets of how we experience, how we create, and in a sense it's something new, because it really, when a certain group of souls decides to ascend this way physically, this is kind of like a game, you know, an experience that is created for them. And this is now happening on Earth. It's not just on Earth, it's actually the entire universe is going to change, and is changing and shifting. We are contributing to all of this, but there's a certain particular critical mass of those beings that want to have the experience of how it is to ascend in the physical. So I'll be explaining something that came through my automatic writing today. I had some of that energy, you know, when I know that I'm again being pushed into this new, because on Monday there was a tremendous uplifting energy in the air. You could just feel it. And whenever this happens, you know that on a certain part of your journey you'll have to integrate that. And then you feel like you're being pushed into this expanded mode that, again, it comes through contemplation and self-assessment and observing what's coming through you. And this is, when I've been journaling today, this automatic writing came through about how this is actually, how we know, how we discern, and I want to talk about this, between our desires, because everything in fact is a desire from the soul. It just depends which timeline you're choosing and you're tapping into. So people say you're guided by soul or you're guided with your mind. It doesn't matter. It's all a fraction of the soul. It's all soul based, but it depends which time frame, you know, because time is a limited concept. But it depends which expanded reality are you tuning into. Sometimes for people that's not very easy to understand, but in fact it's so simple. It really is simple, because when you understand that you are forming your reality from within, so therefore with your state of inner awareness, you're constantly tuning into, you know, what feels right to you. So for example, I'm creating the kind of life that's very simple and beautiful and very blissful, and many people who might be around me, they're not experiencing the same thing. We're still existing on the same planet, you know, and within the same grid, but we already at the same time are tuning into a different grid, because a lot of us are tuning into the new grid. So today I wrote about these feelings because I had an example, you know, and it comes through our inner desires, and a lot of those desires, they're all from soul, like I said, but not all of them come from this expanded state. When you already, for example, transcended a certain part of experience, you know, when you think about it, like I said in the beginning, everything is neutral. When everything is neutral, everything is always about the experience. You know, like I'm standing here and I choose to experience the sun and how it shines on me instead of going to a bar or drinking or going to a restaurant and, you know, eating not healthily. It's you direct your energy flow, so where it goes. And it's all coming from these desires, and a lot of desires, they were true for you, they were authentic for you, but in a way you outgrew them anyway. So you think there's something still there, and you feel that's a desire because there's emotion there. With all the desires, there's emotion. And this is what I'm going to be talking about now. And I choose to read to you from here so that I don't forget anything, you know, because I wrote it down as it is. So I want to be as short as I can, you know. I'm just going to go talking on and on if I don't really, you know, just put it all into this focus. But it's really easy to understand once you become really observant of your emotion, but what is also beyond just these emotions that we've been describing that we have as human beings, you know, to that feeling side of life, the feeling which comes from expansion and the feeling which comes from the old. So I'm going to read this to you, and then maybe I'm going to add something else if I'm guided to. And it's just a simple understanding how we actually co-create our reality by tuning into the desires through the frequency of the feeling side of life, not just the emotional trigger that is there, because with the desire, the emotional trigger is always there. It's what it's called, a desire. So I'm going to read this part to all of you now. I was actually journaling, and I really recommend this because sometimes you journal, and to journal doesn't mean you write what has happened, you know, like people journal and talk about trivial things that's happening to them. To journal for me means to bring certain aspects of you, what you want to be aware about, you know, your devotion, your focus, and then something comes out, and all of a sudden you're already writing automatically. So you're just at the same time you're asking yourself something or discussing something within yourself, with the greater being that you are, and then you automatically start giving yourself the answer at the same time. So this is what came through when I wrote about something, and I'll give you my example later. So this is how I got my answer, and this is what it says. Whenever there's a desire that is supported with an emotional push, you know, so the emotional push cultivates that desire. It either produces lots of expansion, which comes through joy and upliftment, or it doesn't. This is what shows us the difference between the old and the new ascending reality. In the latter, we are constantly expanding and surpassing something, you know, that might have been previously authentic to us, but now it just doesn't feel that way anymore. That's why we got to really observe. The energy response just feels different. This is how we will learn to work with our feeling side of life in the new. And the new, you know, when I talk about this, it's a new ascending reality. In the new, we always strive for new experiences that make us feel expanded beyond the old routine and what was known to us through previous emotional stages and charges, you know, the emotional charge that feels familiar to you, but at the same time, it doesn't bring you the same sense of upliftment anymore. As we expand, we can feel more bliss and peace, you know, it just automatically happens. When we stand still, this is when we're usually in between the two, you know, in between the choices, because we are always now in between the two. It's shift, it's ongoing process, and literally between the worlds, you know, different worlds, different realities we're tapping into. So sometimes when we're in that standstill point, we can feel confused or seeking our new anchor, you know, where we will put our center now in the new. Only as we step fully in the new, which is beyond all expectations or labels, we can truly feel expanded and instantly uplifted, and we know that as bliss. It feels very natural to us. The more we allow this to unfold naturally, the more we practice it. And I'll tell you an example. For me, this is lately happening with my soul art. A lot of my desires in the old were about, I need to go, you know, to this mountaintop and that mountaintop. And a lot of times I still wake up and, I want to go there. But I remember a part of me said to myself, you know, when I moved here, now it's a different experience for me. It said to me, it's different now because I'm always here. I'm always in the energy of the mountains. And as I used to live in the city, what was happening, you know, Spirit showed me this. And so my purpose was different, and for me to be also physically supportive that way, you know, through the energy of the higher vortices which we can find in the mountains, you know, our physicality is important. So for me to be sustained and nourished with that energy, I sometimes had to go visit them, you know, like people go to sacred places, they feel certain upliftment and they feel higher consciousness being elevated there. So this was a part of my journey back then, but now I just feel I don't have have to do it the same way anymore because I'm constantly in this energy stream. And well, one aspect is also because my personal vortex is also so strengthened, and I live constantly in this pure space. And sometimes there's still a desire that I feel emotional because it feels sentimental or familiar. But when I look behind it, it's not the same energy of joy, like, it is for something new, like, for example, my soul art, or just doing simple things and being in nature in a simple way. Like now, going by the water, picking my stones that I use for my soul art. And this is really important. We really have to notice this because it will be very apparent. Because a lot of times I'll just look out the window and I think, oh gosh, I wish to do this and that. But then, the mind plugs in. It's like, oh, then I need to drive there, then I need to do this, and I start thinking. And the feeling is not the same. For example, I went cross-country skiing on Monday, and right after I came here to this place, I found these beautiful stones that I'm going to be using for my new elven pendulums now. And the energy that I felt, I'm not making this up, but it was full of synchronicities and amazing experiences, and I literally shifted the weather as well. Because it was cloudy, and the moment I felt joy, with this new expansion, everything just lit up. And this is another example that it will be all synchronistic. It will really be felt that it's in the new. So why is this so important, beloved ones? It's because this shift is happening in the same body. We don't die and incarnate, and then it's going to be a new set of reality there, and we're already going to be, embodied in that automatically, like we are birthed as children. But what was happening is why this is so precious, why this experience of physical ascension is so precious, because we literally are born into one system, one set of rules that apply to this dimensional reality as we felt it, and this paradigm that we often call the three-dimensional paradigm. And within the same body, and with all beliefs and everything you've known and everything you've desired, at the same body template that you have, you'll be literally making the transition into a totally new dimensional experience. And this is what actually brings self-mastery, and a lot of souls are choosing this now. And this is why it is so precious. So it's not always easy. It is not, because a lot of times we're having these questions, whether what is real, what is old, what is new. And this saying that we say, follow your bliss, it's not just some random saying, oh, follow your bliss. It has a real deep meaning to it, actually. What it means is that the bliss, the joy, the expansion that you feel, I can't explain this. You literally feel, I was so shaky all day that I literally spilled my smoothie when I came home because I was so filled with that energy. And when I have those days, I just call it hyper, and it's just amazing. It's not a bad thing. It's actually really good. You just need to really ground yourself at the same time. But whenever you have this, it's a feeling that is felt, and you can't describe it with words. And this is the energy, that constant, instant joy energy that is telling you that it's coming from the soul, but within the expanded soul consciousness. So the soul that wants to expand in this new and wants to try new things and new approaches. And it's a shift. It's a gradual shift. And that is, like I said, that is why it's so precious. And in the new, it's the joy that motivates us, not some external events or factors or triggers. And my example comes from, a lot of times, I remember I said to myself, oh, it would be so much easier to go to the mountains if I had like a trigger. For example, somebody who would be so equally passionate about this that we would motivate each other, to get up early in the morning, because in the winter you have to get up sometimes really early if you want to go. Otherwise, the snow gets all soft and it's not really easy to go. And, this is an external thing. You say, oh, if I only had this, and then I will be motivated to go. But remember, if this was truly within my expanded state of the new, I would feel it the same way, whether that external trigger existed or not, whether I had that companion or not, whether I would wake up naturally or not. It's something that really is so natural to us, this state of joy and bliss. But a lot of us, we've just forgotten about this. So we constantly question ourselves, what is right, what is wrong. But in the new ascending reality, it's no longer, a matter of wrong or right or good or bad. It's a matter of, is it expanding me further? Or am I still standing still here in between the worlds? Which is okay, it's no more, there's no more separation. It's just you choose and you learn through those choices that are constantly changing. But this is what actually brings the self-mastery and self-discovery in a way that is new. And like I said, that is why it's so precious. And whenever you do something or you don't do something and then you feel bad about it, oh, I didn't go there, what if that means that I'm not in the new because I'm not taking risk or this and that? reasons will vary. Maybe sometimes for something you didn't do, it wasn't divine timing yet. Maybe it's not for you right now. It's just really, it doesn't matter. What matters is that whatever you didn't do, it didn't happen for a reason. I just heard this saying today when I watched something. And we just need to follow that wave that comes through soul inspiration that is really uplifted. And that's when you will know you're in the new. We can still feel denser at times. It's okay. That's when we're still maybe more in the old. But it's okay because through the contrast that we're seeing, we're literally learning and we're making the transition in that same body vehicle. We don't die and we become incarnated here again when the reality is already different and there's new sets of rules, or we are making them from within through our soul essences. And this is actually, for some people, it's hard to understand when in fact it's so simple. So everything was really aligned with this, and the book, coming our way and all these things, it's just how it is. And as you will understand this, there's just different options and these different multitudes that you're tapping into, and take it as neutrally as that. Everything will flow. Everything will fall into its rightful magical place, as always. But please understand that whenever you're in that magic, it's the new expanded way of being, and it's confirmed like this, because you just feel like that magical inner child, the divine child that experiences all the creation that is, birthed through divine love. And sometimes it's something that's maybe not so dramatic, like me going winter mountaineering, all by myself with my gear and everything. Maybe in the new, it doesn't always have to be so, lots of souls are still choosing that third dimensional experience that constantly need that action and drive and, motivation and physical activity. Well, I like to be physically active, but not in the same sense. So it's all about the level of experiences. And when something doesn't serve us anymore, it just means we've transcended it. It doesn't serve something within us, and we will feel it. So then, therefore, we don't need to feel bad or guilty if we didn't do something. It means, there's a difference, of course, if you're always staying in that sense of you're never going beyond your routine, and you're always in your comfort zone. That's different. But what I'm talking about is when, for example, if I never go to the mountains alone because I don't want to, because I think there's someone that needs to go with me. That's different. I don't do that. I went alone so many times. Another example is when you do it for so long that eventually you surpass it. It doesn't bring you the same sense of magic. Maybe on that part of the journey you're actually getting ready for somebody sharing this experiences with you, or maybe you want to create something different. And this year, for example, I've been learning to ski a lot, and I went so many times that I'm actually getting really good at it. You see, so there's all that it is experience and constant expansion, and the line between, there is no line. And this is the magic of the process. And please know that there's a difference between emotions that will be always felt, because when there's a desire, there's an emotion. That's the same thing. It's just how it is within our human experience. But what is beyond that emotion? For example, you want something, but the energy just isn't feeding that so much. At the same time, you have another example. There's the same emotion, you want something, you really want it, and there's a huge stream of energy that's feeding that, and this is how you know you're being renewed. So thank you for listening. I hope this made sense. I hope the water back behind me wasn't too loud, and I'm going to see you in my next video. I'm going to go hunt for some more stones, probably, and enjoy the sun. So take care until next time. Much love. Bye.